everyone. So I am starting this new coaching channel. I have another channel that is a travel channel, and however, I'm in the process of getting my life coach certification, and I'm also at the same time in graduate school for mental health counseling. And I have been watching a lot of videos on and doing a lot of reading on what they call narcissism, sociopathy, and psychopathy. And the reason that I have been looking that up is it has affected me personally. And I really needed to get some answers. And to be honest, that's a big part of why I started graduate school. So, because I needed answers. And so if you're coming across this video, you're probably in the same boat. And so basically, I'm going to put in the description below the psychological professionals that I have found to be most useful. What I have learned is that you can actually be married to or in a relationship, familial relationship or intimate relationship with an actual psychopath or a sociopath and not know it. And the reason that you won't know it is because not all of them end up in prison or commit criminal activity, especially for psychopath. You think serial killer, right? But as it turns out, and what I found out recently, is that is not the case. And so there's a lot of overlap. A sociopath is typically antisocial personality disorder. That would be the official diagnosis for that. Sociopath and psychopath are narcissistic by nature. However, you can be narcissistic, have narcissistic traits, be on the continuum, or have actual narcissistic personality disorder and not necessarily be sociopathic or psychopathic. Psychopaths, sociopaths have typically, they lack remorse. They kind of don't do a conscience. They do things that normal people would not do, and their reaction is kind of like a so what, get over it kind of reaction. And a normal person would probably not do that stuff to begin with. So it's kind of scary, especially if you're living with someone like that. I have watched a lot of videos by Dr. Ramani as well as Dr. Todd Grande. And those have been the two most helpful professionals. They have extensive background and history in mental health counseling. Dr. Ramani's psychologist. They kind of differ a little bit on their take, but overall, it's in general, it's the same information. Dr. Grande breaks it down by type 1 and type 2. So that's kind of really cool to know, because sometimes you might have someone you're like, oh, the sociopaths tend to be more impulsive and sloppy and maybe more angry, raging, outward. Psychopaths are very calculated. They are organized. They are not the type necessarily to rage out, although they can, but it's not going to be as often, and it's not going to be nearly as obvious because they're way more calculated. And they're also the kind of person that some of them, the ones that are not in prison, probably do have a history of violence in the past, like maybe even in high school, adolescence, fighting, lots of fights. They have not done that as an adult or haven't gotten caught, because they actually know, they can actually weigh the consequences. That's how calculated they are. They're like, yes, I really would like to kill or injure severely that person, but I'm not going to because I don't want to get into jail. And that's kind of a scary thing when you've got a person that thinks like that. There's also a book called Psychopath Free. I have not read it, but what I have heard, it covers all of that. There's so much overlap in narcissism, sociopathy, and psychopathy that it covers all of them. And I did, however, recently, I listened to the audiobook Snakes in Suits. That's by Dr. Robert Hare, and he's the one who came up with a checklist, a clinical diagnostical checklist to check people on, but you can't I think there are online versions of it, but you can't take it as a layperson. Only a licensed clinician can actually administer the test. And so if you've ever just had this relationship where it started out great, lots of love bombing, that's a narcissism thing, and that's a psychopathic thing. Sociopathy, not so much. They're kind of mean, angry people throughout. However, if you have a Jekyll and Hyde situation, your relationship started out really great, and then right after the marriage or after the infatuation period wore off, it was awful, like a completely different person, and you're feeling, it's almost like you got sucker punched on the inside, and you're like, why? What happened? And I had this happen to me personally in conflict patterns, and 2 different counselors with this person that I was in relationship with, and nothing changed, and counseling didn't help. Listen, let me tell you something. If you are in a relationship or a marriage, and especially if it's long, like several years or more, and you've gone to more than one counselor and nothing changes and nothing helps, and your spouse or significant other is always blaming everything on you, and they literally take no ownership of contributing anything, that's not denial. They don't have a conscience, and they will not own anything. So you can't even honestly break it down to narcissism with that extreme shame, and they're empty on the inside. Sociopaths and psychopaths are like narcissists on steroids. So I don't think, if they do, their shame is probably so far behind them, they don't even know it's there, and they don't even care. They wouldn't admit it anyway, because they think they're great and God's gift to humanity. So, and you are most likely dealing, for anybody watching this, because I've been there, if you're in a long-term relationship and nothing changes, and you always feel bad, and you feel like you're gaslighted, a lie, gaslit, whatever. You say this, I said this, and they said no, or they tell you why you're wrong. Just your reality is, they're always questioning and telling you you're wrong about your reality. That's called gaslighting. That is typically, first of all, that is not normal. So for anybody coming from a family of origin where there was some dysfunction, a lot of dysfunction, that's not normal. And you may not know that, because in your family that may have been normal. But you're the fact that you're even wondering tells you, well, what does normal look like anyway? It's not normal, it's not healthy, and you're most likely dealing with some significant personality disorder. Sociopaths have, my understanding, is they have antisocial personality disorder as well as narcissistic personality disorder, or at least they're high on the narcissism traits, even if they don't have both of those disorders together. And those disorders are not mental illness, okay, because you can't treat that with medication. So it's not like, one of the types of mental illnesses where you can take, like bipolar, for example, you can take medicine and you're okay. This is not what we're talking about. It's a disorder of maladaptive traits, okay? That's a psychological term that you use. It's called behavioral maladaptive traits. Whatever this person does behaviorally, does not work for them. B is probably not something a normal person would do. Normal is like if 90% of the rest of the population would not do that, then you've got something going on. Okay, not in a good way. And that's what they call maladaptive traits. So I hesitate to use the word normal. It is better to use the word healthy, but a lot of people really grew up with some kind of screwy families, and they really don't know. So I'm going to cover this topic. I have a lot of things because I'm studying this, and I also research a lot for my own personal information as well as my own personal reasons of why I like to study this. So I'm going to put out more videos for this. At this point in time, I'm not going to do regular videos, but I am going to put them out. I started graduate school a few months ago, and the first class required a week-long kickoff conference. And I have a couple of videos. It was a lot of processing. It was really raw emotionally, but it was really good. I learned a lot about myself and my family of origin that I did not know. and I kind of knew it. Like, I didn't realize how significant one of my particular relationships was with one of my parents. I didn't realize how significant it was, and how it had contributed to me being in dysfunctional marriage. And I'm healing from that, and it's great. And I've got a lot of great tools that I would love to pass on to you guys in future videos. So go ahead and click subscribe. This is a new channel, but hopefully we can build it up, and I can put out content that is valuable to somebody. If there's this many books and YouTube videos right now on narcissism and sociopath and psychopath, and these people that just lack empathy, they lack conscience, they're not sorry. They do really, really mean things, and they're not even sorry. There's a lot of material out there. It's because I think not a lot of people know that these people, they kind of just walk among us in society, the ones that aren't in jail. Now, jail populations have majority are classified as sociopath, but in the non-incarcerated population, regular everyday people, there's actually a lot of them out there, and you probably come across some. For whatever reason, I think we just, in generations past, we had kind of a get along kind of society. Don't say anything. And that's not okay anymore, because these people leave a trail of destruction 100 miles wide in terms of their relationships. So subscribe. In my next video, I need to put up, I did a couple of recordings at my kickoff conference. One with no makeup the first day in the morning, kind of just my thoughts on what I wanted to do. I'm just going to put that up there for fun. But anyway, I hope to see a lot of people subscribing, and please leave comments, especially if you have questions. I am not a licensed counselor, but I am a graduate student. I've already taken several classes. So I look forward to building out this channel and putting up some really important stuff for people. Okay, have a great day.